In lesson 8.9, we're going to write inequalities. In other words, they're going to give us the information, and we're going to write out the equation. All right, just like we did in chapter 7 extensively. This is just an extension of those lessons. The only difference is we're going to be using greater than, less than symbols. That's it. All right, so how do you write an inequality to represent a situation? You can use what you know about writing equations from chapter 7 to help you write inequalities. So, like I said, the only thing that we're doing that's new is using these symbols. That's it. Otherwise, it's exactly like what we did in chapter 7. All right. The highest temperature recorded in the South Pole was 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow, that's really, really cold because that's the highest temperature. Write an inequality to show that the temperature T in degrees Fahrenheit at the South Pole is less than or equal to 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So here's our critical information. Less than or equal to 8 degrees. All right. Oh, and here we go. Underline the words that tell you which inequality symbol to use right here. I circled it instead of underlined it, but that tells you what symbol we're going to use. Or equal to. I should have circled that also. Less than or equal to. These are the critical words. Let's see. Will you use an equal sign in your inequality? Yes. Sort of, because less than or equal to. So we would use the symbol, let's see, less than or equal to, which means it can also be equal. This little part right here, that means equal to. All right. So here we go. Now we're going to write the equation. The temperature T. So there's our variable. Because it changes. It's not the same every day. So we don't have just one number that represents T. The temperature is less than or equal to. So we use this symbol, 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So an inequality that describes the temperature T in degrees Fahrenheit at the South Pole is T is less than or equal to 8. All right, let's do it again. The directors of an animal shelter need to raise more than $50,000 during a fundraiser. Write an inequality that represents the amount of money, M in dollars, that the directors need to raise. So here's the amount of money. Let's see, they need to raise more than $50,000. Okay, so this is the minimum amount. They could earn $100,000. They could raise $60,000. It just has to be more than this. All right, so the amount of money, M, is more than, greater than, we had used the greater than symbol, $50,000, so we just write the 50,000. So an inequality that describes the amount of money in dollars is M greater than 50,000. All right, let's keep going. Okay, on the back side. Write an inequality for the word sentence. Tell what types of numbers the variable in the inequality can represent. What type of numbers? Okay, that's interesting. All right, so the weight is less than 3.5 pounds. All right, so the weight, we're going to let W represent the unknown value, is less than 3.5 pounds, where W is a positive number. Okay, so basically, that's the type of number. It has to be positive. Why is that? Can you have negative pounds? Can you exist? Can something exist and have negative pounds? No, that wouldn't make sense. It would have to be a positive number. All right, there must be at least 65 police officers on duty. At least is our critical word here. All right. Let P represent the number of police officers. The phrase at least is equivalent to is greater than or equal to. All right, so let's set this up now. We have P for the number of police officers, which they gave us here, is greater than or equal to 65. So they need no less than 65 police officers. And again, P is a whole number, because guess what? You can't have fractions of people, right? You have a whole person there. You can't hire half of a police officer. It doesn't work. All right. So here we go. Write 2-word sentences for the inequality. N is less than or equal to 3/10. All right, so N is less than or equal to 3/10. That's what this symbol is. N is no more than 3/10. So it has to be smaller than 3/10. It can't be 4/10 or 35/100. Anything more than this, it can't be that. But it can equal it, because it does say equal to. A is greater than -4. A is greater than -4. A is, another way of saying that is A is more than -4. Okay. All right, which inequality symbol would you use to show the number of people attending a party? Which inequality symbol would you use to show a number of people attending a party that will be at most 14? At most. That's the most people they can get in the building for some reason. Maybe, you know, it's in their house, it's their living room, they only have seating or space for 14 people. All right, so at most. So it would have to be less than or equal to 14. You could get 12 people in that room, but you can't get 15 people in that room. So it has to be less than or equal to. So at most means less than or equal to. You could get that 14th person in, but then you're done. All right, so the phrase at most means, okay, so we're going to say the phrase at most, right here, means you can't get more than 14 people in that space, but you can have up to 14 people. Just can't exceed that many. You can get up to that many, you just can't go past it. All right, let's try one or two more here just to make sure we've got it. All right, so they gave us, write an inequality for the word sentence. Tell what type of numbers the variable in the inequality can represent. So type of numbers are things like whole numbers or integers, counting numbers. That's what they're talking about there. All right, the elevation E is greater than or equal to, so they made that part easy, greater than or equal to 15 meters. So E is greater than or equal to 15 meters. All right, so if you're talking about elevation, can you have fractions? Can you go 1.5 feet higher? Yeah, you can. So we can have the set of all rational numbers there. So E can be really any number. So E can be any number. But when you're talking about people or commodities, like let's say you're buying some candles, you don't buy half a candle. Nobody does that. So in those cases, it would be whole numbers. In this case, it can be any number. Okay, a passenger's age, A, must be more than 4 years. So once again, could you be 4.5 years old? Could you be 4 years and 3 months old? Yeah, so it can be any number, but it would have to be a positive number. Can you be -3 years old? No. So that's what they're talking about when they're talking about the type of number. Be logical. Think logically about it. All right, let's take a quick look at our notes. Let's see. We have 8.9 here. All right, so write inequalities. Less than or equal to. Another way of saying this is at most. Greater than or equal to. Another way of saying that is at least. We use words to rewrite the equation, or they give us the words and we write the equation. Either way. So here's an example. 5 is less than or equal to y, written as an equation, and then written again as a word problem. A is greater than 57, again, written both ways. Okay.